back to the Weekly Hijack Lost Edition.
Hi, Locke.
We're back. We're back to the island, and one of the first Locke bashing. Well, Locke's first flashback was very triumphant, walkabout. This one is the first of Locke getting kicked around.
He gets a lot of... he probably gets the raw end of...
But this is Deus Ex Machina. That's the name of the episode, in case you're wondering. But yes, Locke gets kicked around quite a bit in flashback and on island.
Yeah. I think this... I could be wrong, but I think this is the first... Maybe, if not the first, very close to the first Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse riding together. And you can kind of feel that. Yeah. There is a lot of moving pieces. I mean, to start the episode with a mouse trap is pure Lost. That's... it works for this episode because basically the flashback and I would argue the island are both basically very deliberate traps for Locke.
Yep, pretty much. Now, you were saying when we were watching the scene of Boone climbing the plane, there was another hatch there?
There's a hatch underneath. The question mark they try to find in Season 2, they moved the plane, I think, after they burn it, and there's a hatch under there.
Okay.
I believe. If my memory is correct.
A hatch that leads to the Swan Station? Or
no, it's just a question mark. I think it's the one where you can see what's happening in all the other hatches.
Oh, it's got the cameras.
It has the cameras. I think it's that one.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember the name of that one.
Interesting. I had not.
The Pearl? Is that the Pearl?
Maybe.
Okay.
I forget which station it is. That is an interesting... Because, at the end of this episode, you don't really know what was the island trying to tell us.
This time through, I got a little... I thought that it parallels so well with his flashback, which is basically a long con to get his... thing, like it was suckered into it mousetrap wise. Mm-hmm. I wondered if it wasn't the island, some aspect of the island playing with. Again, the island has basically three versions. There's Jacob, there's Man in Black, and then there's just
Magic
Island. Yeah. That's not personal, but certainly has an agenda.
Yeah, a mind of its own. Yeah. Apart from the whole Jacob and Man in Black shenanigans.
So I don't know how to read it exactly. And what's interesting, this episode works so well despite really having no clue why his legs don't work or anything like that. Mm-hmm. It's island magic and it works.
Locke still feels like the most tragic character in the whole Lost story to me.
Easily.
Every time Cooper, whatever his first name is on the screen, I just like kind of boil inside and see you don't want to hiss and all.
He's so bad.
He's such an evil person and so good at what he does. And
the sad thing is, Locke on the island, for all his I know what's going on. He's really just a pawn for the island the whole time.
Yeah. Locke was good for the survivors, and a lot of times he didn't know what they needed. But for his own journey, personal journey, he was completely clueless into where he was going and what he should actually be doing. It'd be fascinating if he had actually had a conversation with Jacob and learned about the history of the island, what he could do, but that was just never in the cards for him.
It's very interesting. I'd like to know what the writers were thinking at this point. But obviously, they're planning long game. This episode is like massive setup for things in the future. You got the Nigerian plane and the drugs and the tail enders on the radio, which you listen real carefully here. We're survivors from 815.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Because I remember that Boone had talked to Telius, but in that scene, you would actually have to be paying really close attention to even hear that.
And it almost feels like an echo, even if you're not paying real close attention.
Yeah, it almost does.
Like an echo.
Oh,
that was nice. But there's some math. There's a lot of things moving behind the scenes here, even despite the really strong flashback. Locke's gotten two really strong flashbacks.
A lot of setup for the Nigerian drug smugglers, and of course, anyone who saw that heroin baggage are like, "Uh-oh, Charlie's in trouble."
And it's funny because they just they don't play it up at that point. They leave it there, and it's going to come back to haunt you.
Yeah,
they don't even do any sort of weird. Locke has this crazy dream, and Boone's bloodied right then, which is obvious setup, but they don't hark back to it or question. It's just there, and you connect the dot. And
yeah, well, I mean, before you before the end of the episode, who knows what that would have meant? People got bloody a lot in the show.
Exactly.
It didn't mean that they were necessarily about to die. I mean,
yeah, it really ups another ante to the mystery island. Suddenly you're like, okay, this island's crazy again. I mean, you knew it was, but
you hadn't necessarily seen some of it in a while.
And then you get the hatch lit up.
Yeah, which we find out later is Desmond, who's
about ready to commit suicide. At that point,
on the verge of committing suicide when he hears Locke banging on it, and it's like, yeah, Deb just had oh yeah.
So yeah. It depends on how omniscient / long game craziness you want to play, either Jacob or the Man in Black. Mm-hmm. And again, I don't know that I can come up with a cohesive why Locke is this, but say it's Man in Black, maybe he's just trying to weaken Locke to a spot where he'll be able to play into later. If it's Jacob, it's maybe to save Desmond. Yeah. It's a long game.
Well, I believe actually in season 5 is at one point when they're time hopping, they come across this moment again. Like Locke and Sawyer watch past Locke.
Oh, you're right.
Bang on the thing and stuff, and Sawyer's like, "What was going on there?" And I think Locke says something along the lines of, "The island was testing me." And he didn't go back, and I think Sawyer asked him, well, why don't you, go say something? They're like, but Locke was like, no, I needed that to get where I am now.
Which is unfortunate because he doesn't...
He has no idea how misled he still is being used, how much he's still being played.
He's being played, largely for the Man in Black to kill Jacob. If you want to run the ridiculously long game. If you play into the ridiculous long game. Now, it could just be the island testing him, trying to see if he's worthy.
Yeah. But
it doesn't have to be the long game.
Yeah, I don't know. This episode seems to feel like it's more island stuff than Man in Black.
Agree. Yeah.
But it does feel the trap thing. It feels similar, but I'm not sure it actually is. But that's entirely debatable.
The ambiguity of, again, Damon Lindelof especially, and Carlton Cuse like that.
What do you think?
What do you think this means?
So, what do you think this means, Zach?
Yes. I do have to say then also the B story with Sawyer was awesome. And Jack.
Oh, yes. The whole you needed some comic relief in that, and it was fun to get it from those guys. The little frenemies sort of.
Frenemies.
Coincidentally, nice little foreshadowing of Jack's he has his own little doctor's clinic set up there that becomes very important when Boone gets dragged in.
Yeah.
Back to the caves. All right. Well, anyway, that is Deus Ex Machina.
Any other thoughts from the peanut gallery? I thought I'd try. Okay.
Nice try.
Yet another very good episode.
Yep. I think this next episode picks up right where that one left off.
Do no harm.
So we're back to the Lost Doubleheader. Here we go. Okay. Do no harm.
Hi, Jack.
Hi.
This is Tim.
Oh, man. Something about Michael Giacchino's score in that last scene. It kind of makes the whole room a little dusty,
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's a hard episode. I will say this is one episode where the flashbacks just can't compare to the island story.
Yeah.
It's an okay flashback, but it feels like, I guess in some ways they might have chosen very purposely to do a very kind of slow one in comparison to.
It doesn't take up much of the time either.
No,
it's a pretty sparse flashback compared to most of them.
Yeah. Especially compared to the one just before, the Locke's one, which is incredibly.
When we're watching it, they just keep ramping up the tension the first couple.
Oh yeah.
15 minutes.
I was thinking when you've got a lady who's as pregnant as Claire as part of your main cast, as a writer, that's a ticking time bomb that you just wait to the right moment to set off.
Yeah.
And you do it in the worst moment possible.
Exactly. And we haven't hardly seen her for 2-3 episodes, so you kind of had
kind of forgotten.
Yeah, and then it's Boone, and then suddenly
now.
Some of Kate's reactions are just priceless.
Oh yeah,
she does a great job. Kate always does, but.
And it's remarkable when you see someone who is as gung ho and wants to get into the thick of things as Kate is, and then she's like, I can't do this.
we like, people like to harass Kate for being annoying or whatever. But she really, like the last couple episodes, she really is kind of the heart of the, she's the compassionate one between, especially...
In terms of the leadership of the survivor.
Yeah, I mean, her own personal self is a little crazy. Right. But yeah, she's a good glue for when other things are happening for other people.
Yeah. Yeah, especially during this first... When we get into weird other stuff, then she kind of tends to go off on crazy missions on her own a little more often. But yeah... And really interesting when you think about who was the one who wound up raising Aaron for a few years.
There's that connection there right from the get-go.
Yeah.
They play the things really well. And I'd say it's very interesting having to do a doubleheader with Deus Ex Machina. I mean, both these episodes are largely like, and here's the center of these two characters, like, on display. I mean, you got Locke's...
struggle to have meaning.
And you got Jack's real thing is just he cannot...
Let go.
He can't. He has to fix things, and he's like zombies. Jack at like halfway through. We're joking.
I mean, don't tell me what I can't do. I'm like, whoa.
They're like the same person,
just different sides of the coin.
Yeah,
and I think you could see here too, in a lot of ways, this is the moment that really cemented their rivalry.
Yeah,
they had some differences of opinion before, but this is the moment where Jack really lost most of his trust in Locke, what little he had. And it becomes a battle from pretty much here on out.
I know some people get annoyed with Jack's like trying to fix it. I mean, I don't know. I sympathize with Jack with this like deep-seated need to fix things.
Yeah.
I'm not as bad as Jack. I don't give my own blood until Sun pulls it up. It's very interesting. It was neat, kind of Sun and Jin, who have not really seen each other at all since they're falling out. Yeah. One's the nurse for the one. The other one was kind of, not as much for Claire, but, run the Claire.
Yeah, but this need brought them together for a moment.
And they were both there. Jin had this little moment with Charlie.
Yeah. Jin and Charlie, that was fun. I mean, you needed some comedic relief, and it's always surprising and delightful when Jin can provide that comedic relief.
Well, you needed it several times in this episode, and we got it several times, which was nice with Hurley and those two.
Yeah. Jack's like, I swear, Hurley, if you faint.
Well, and then there's when they set the leg and they cut out, there's Hurley just trying not to hear anything.
Yeah, which is the audience. Oh,
as
man,
always.
This is... For anyone squeamish like myself, and Kurt was kind of like...
Dad cannot do tension, that sort of stuff.
Well, I mean, I'm bad with any time it comes to a surgery scene or...
And there's a lot of stuff like that, a lot.
Yeah, more than I care to watch sometimes, but... Man, good episode all the way around.
It was a very good episode.
Is this the first time a character died, other than the beginning when everybody was the fallout?
The first main character.
First protagonist
Marshall died, and like that person drowned out.
Was the fallout of the?
Yeah.
Well, there's that lady who drowned in the undertow.
No one knew who she was.
I mean, first real character.
First regular cast member. Ethan died, but bad guy.
Kill a character, not like once who pretends and then doesn't.
Exactly.
Kills a character and then resurrects them.
I mean, granted, Boone will show up in every season from now on, but
it is the same as once.
It's not really Boone most of the time, though.
Well, it's flashbacks.
Flashbacks or
does he show up
Island Visions.
Does he show up as Island Visions? Oh, probably for Locke he does.
I think so, yeah, if I remember right. I'm not sure it's every season. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It is a lot. But, I mean, Boone's, especially being one of the first deaths, Boone's really had a big impact on the show.
Yeah. He was a red shirt.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, last episode with the Locke one, you didn't feel like Boone was some goof. He was like...
No, he actually had good, rational reasons for what he was saying.
Partner hand in hand with Locke, and then...
Mm-hmm. So he had a moment of clarity before. But...
And again, never ever go on a romantic picnic with someone on Lost. It just does not end well for your close others.
Yeah, that Hurley and Libby had that situation later.
Yeah.
Although,
Hurley and Libby wasn't part of the picnic. But.
Right. But on a serious note related to that, I do have a friend who said that his wife, I don't remember if they were dating or if they were married at the time, but she had lost her brother like a few months before, and he said that scene where you see Jack telling Locke just Jack telling Shannon
just
basically made her, break down, which completely understandable. It's such a real raw scene without any dialogue.
Well, and I think it works better that way. I mean, if you tried to do the dialogue, it would have been also good to know when you don't say anything. You just let the expressions and the Giacchino music play it.
Well, I mean, Giacchino music was great in the last episode too. With the what's the theme when Locke's banging, like from the moment when he wakes up and then he's banging on it. That's a powerful theme, and then this is the
life and death theme.
This is the life and death theme that we're talking about here. Yeah,
some good stuff.
Really good stuff. Did he ever win Emmy for?
He should have.
Yeah, I don't even know if they do soundtrack Emmys or not.
I would think so. Yeah, I haven't. I should look. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I know he won an Oscar for Up for good reason.
Good reason. Yes.
But people
good episode. Yeah. And this is one of the high marks of season 1, I think, when people look back on this episode. I mean, granted, you know what? Season 1 has a lot of really good stuff in it.
It really does. It really. I mean, I understand why some people feel like it was never as good after the first season. Yeah. I mean, I enjoy all the crazy Lost shenanigans and all that kind of stuff, but especially for people who don't get into that sort of thing, I completely see why
it's very core.
It's very
emotional stuff.
Really key in on the characters.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's hard to keep doing that same exact thing.
Yeah,
season after season. But I mean, they try in their own ways, but they get crazy Lost stuff. But there's just some. I mean, you can only do this episode once, but they did it super well. I mean, they did it about as well as you can do it.
Yep.
So,
but no, I think this was I saw this coming up in the schedule. I was like, oh, that's going to be a really good double episode thing for a Weekly Hijack. And if you haven't seen these, by all means, go watch them. Even if you have watched Much Lost or other mythology, these two episodes stand together pretty well on their own. But meanwhile, make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes, whether that's the Weekly Hijack or Derailed Trains of Thought. Before we wrap up, I should give Zach one more chance to say something.
Yay!
He's not as antagonistic as when we were watching Once Upon a Time.
No, I have much more opinions there.
Maybe because this is not an ongoing show anymore. Yeah. So, all right. Thanks for listening, folks. Hang in there if you've just watched these episodes too and you're in like postpartum depression.
I see what you did there.
All right. This is Tim.
This is Nick.
Good night.
Adios.